మెట్ల శ్రీనివాసరావు గారు, అజయ్ జాదవ్, ఆర్యన్, హేమంత్ రెడ్డి గారు, ఆనంద్ దవే, అభిషేక్, రుద్రస్వామి, ఖాజా వలి, సందీప్ శంకర్, నాగసాయి బాబా గారు. గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ టు యూ ఆల్. గణేష్ జైరాస్, హాయ్ విజయలక్ష్మి, సంతోష్ ఠాకూర్, రాఘవేంద్ర, another 2 minutes, we'll start. How was Chennacity program yesterday, Vijayalakshmi? Devender, Mudraj, Hemant Kumar. Yeah, ask question, Hemant Kumar. What makes graduated student as engineer? Yeah, you listen to my lecture today. Kupaswamy Subramanian, Karupaswamy, sorry. Kiran Balavi, licensed engineer, yes, if you are a graduate with 1 year experience, I think you can apply for licensed engineer. Structural engineer, you have to be a postgraduate or graduate with 5 years experience. It varies from corporation to corporation. Varshit, eligibility criteria, you can refer to National Building Code. In that, administrative section is there. In that, they will define the eligibility for surveyor and supervisor, planning engineer, and licensed engineer, and structural engineer. These are all the categories that are defined in National Building Code. Good morning, Surya Teja. Good morning to all. So we'll be starting now. Again, one more topic of importance and my interest nowadays, the waste management, like solid and sewage collection, transport, and treatment. So today I'll be covering this topic about a bit of introduction, and many people think, I mean students at least, when I was offering this for summer internship or project, they think, do we have to learn about this waste? So this is very important. I'll be covering about that. And waste, and in waste we have 3 categories mainly: solid waste and sewage and effluent. While effluent comes from the industrial process, the sewage comes from the built environment, like residential, commercial, office, entertainment, leisure, hospitality, hospital, and all that. And also we have solid waste generated everywhere. So we'll talk about sewage treatment, we talk about effluent treatment, solid waste, and finally collection, transport, treatment, and disposal aspects of all these 3 actually. So this is a very, very important topic for all of us, civil engineers mainly. And this by 2025, the waste management market size in India is projected to be worth $15 billion. Can you imagine? 1 lakh crores. So it is a huge market, and per capita spending on waste management is going to be about 1,000 rupees to 1,500 rupees per capita spending on waste management. And annual growth is about 7%. And urban India, with about 37 crores or 377 million population, generates 62 million tons of municipal solid waste, MSW. Of this, about 43 million tons is collected and 11.9 million tons only is treated. And that means the balance 19 million tons is on the roads actually. Even of the collected waste, only 20% is being treated now, and about 31% is dumped in landfill sites. So this is a very alarming number actually for all of us to ponder today. It is estimated that India generated almost like 2 million tons of e-waste. I'm talking about e-waste, which is educated people's waste actually. So in 2006, and approximately 1.5 kg of e-waste per capita. This is going to exceed the other solid waste actually in urban areas. And estimated in 2020, it's 4.5 kg. We have grown threefold of e-waste in 4 years. So that is about 5 million tons of e-waste is going to be generated in this year. So do civil engineers have to know this topic? This is a question always students, they laugh at me actually. I had 4 topics of summer internship to offer to students. I'll be sharing that today. One is clean, colony level environment and neutralization assessment. Colony level environment assessment and neutralization. Clean, that is, this is my acronym actually, and C&D waste management. And there is another topic of function halls. We all go for attend functions, of course, not now in the last 4 months, and maybe another 4 months we don't go. But still, if you had any experience of attending functions anywhere, you can see the condition starting from parking and fire hazard, and also the solid waste management and sewage, because they don't provide the proper, because always the functions happen, suddenly there will be 1,000 people coming and eating and generating a lot of waste. And function hall managements very rarely have treatment facilities at that point. So I thought I'll work on a startup idea of mobile treatment plants. So I offered this topic to students, and they felt, what is this waste? And another Swachh Abhiyan, toilets. I also had the idea about 3 years back. I made them study on mobile toilets, like Ola and Uber. You can have a toilet on call actually. You should call a toilet, and because there is a varying demand for this. So these are all the ideas, 4 ideas in waste management I had. And we did the projects also. Students did the work, but they were very hesitant to work on this. They think we are civil engineers, but we civil engineers work on naturally balanced regions, converting them to concrete habitats. And we generate waste during construction, and we generate waste post-occupancy also. So it's our responsibility to balance each region, to balance the waste actually. I mean, you should not throw away the waste. So this is my concept actually, why I talk about this. And house level, every individual house can manage the waste actually, reduce the disposal. And next, come to the community level. That means apartments. If you have an apartment, try to neutralize at the apartment level itself, minimize the wastage, have the facility. This is the responsibility of every citizen, I'm saying. And we civil engineers have to bring in awareness among our clients actually. Whether you are designing a house, whether you are designing an apartment, we should make them aware and conscious about this waste management. Otherwise, I'll be showing you some of the slides as we move forward. And next is the colony level. You neutralize at the colony level only. Don't dispose beyond the colony level. This is my idea. And we should all propose to the government has to tax heavily for the waste disposal. I mean, we are all dumping waste and creating, slums around our places. We are responsible for the slums actually as citizens, as educated. So we should help reducing these slums, and we should reduce. So my concept is waste should be neutralized at habitat level. This is my pure concept. I'm working on it. I need students, I need researchers to work on these ideas which we have on construction and demolition waste and clean, that is colony level environment assessment and neutralization. And this can be taken up by civil engineers, and a lot of startups can happen by civil engineers in this waste management. So this is what we are doing, you know, this is the nature, beautiful nature that is there everywhere on the earth, and we convert into built environment and we create this waste. At least we don't even manage like this. So this is the idea of this topic today, how we can at least, okay, you create the built environment, it is required, that is also nature's requirement because population is natural and we have to have, but we have to make them live in an organized and responsible manner. Next, this is the sewage. We can see how the sewage is generated and how it is not managed actually. Every household generates almost like 500 liters of sewage. You can manage that sewage at the household level itself like this. Otherwise, you can make your areas like this. This is a photograph in Mumbai. Imagine the plight of the people living in this. And I am very sorry for this. And next level is we dispose all this sewage into the canals, rivers and all, nalas and rivers, and untreated. And then we spend huge money. Hyderabad city itself has a budget, plan of about 20,000 crores to do this city level sewage treatment. We were dumping sewage into Hussain Sagar Lake, and then we are spending huge money to treat this sewage before dumping. And we design huge projects, spending thousands of crores. So can't we make every household, if they spend, you can use the solar, you don't need even energy. You can use the natural energy source and you can treat the sewage. And olden days, we used to have that composting yards, and every house we used to have the composting, and there used to be a process of recycling. We sell newspaper to vendor, we sell old bottles. There used to be a natural recycling process, and we killed that. We dump everything onto a solid waste, and we complain municipality is not collecting my waste. Are you paying any special tax for additional waste that you are generating? Why don't the government come up with a legislation that taxes every waste collected? It should be more than the buying actually. Then only people, now we all know when they're charging for the plastic polythene bag you buy, you need for this hypermart provision store, then you are you think twice, is it not? So same way, waste also when you dispose, it should be taxed. This is my proposal to the government. Next is the ETP. So ETP also, when we design at the industry, small units level, it will be so compact and small. Suppose you take a 3-acre industrial plot, you will have a ETP of this kind. Then what happened is they have constructed so many industries without pollution control norms and all that. And then people started constructing the common effluent treatment plants like Patancheru in Hyderabad, or in Tamil Nadu, we did common effluent treatment plants for 7 districts, Salem, Erode, and all that, spending 100 crores government or this industrial association has done. See the land that is required. You have to buy that kind of land where so many people can live otherwise, whereas we are treating the waste there. So this is my concept. So solid waste management next is also like this. We are going for landfills instead of collecting in a organized manner. I mean, at least, okay, if not so much of classification of, this is a dry waste, paper, glass, plastic, and metal. This is dry waste segregation. And you can also have wet waste, biological degradable, organic waste or wet waste, which is layman's language, wet waste. And then you can recycle at the colony level itself, like why you need vans for carrying all this. You can treat it at the, imagine you can collect the data on every municipal corporation or panchayat spending every month on transportation of this solid waste. Whereas this can be treated at the plasma gasification plant, pyrolysis, and water to biomethanization. And for power generation, you can use it, and inert waste can be taken to the crusher and make the cakes for reuse. All this, it is possible actually. Solid waste itself has got so much of treatment. And similarly, I had a proposal long back itself, about 10, 12 years back, for on public-private partnership of solid waste management. If you have a population of 1,000 families, you can generate a power of 10 megawatts with sewage itself. So these are all the ideas that are possible, and we as engineers have to make public aware and start promoting these ideas for many startups. Instead of creating mega companies of waste management, we can have small startups and every engineer can work for it. So this is the spending on waste. Can you imagine? This is United States, of course. Capital spending versus maintenance spending. This is the total public spending, $120 billion in 2014 itself. See the growth in 50 years, how much growth it is there, or 60 years, okay. From $20 billion to $120 billion, 6-fold. Every 10 years it is doubling actually. And capital spending, you can see $10 billion to $40 billion. Capital spending means it is an installation of these treatment plants and all that. So this is the mad spending, I would say, for if it was all managed locally at the family level itself. And we lost that culture, and now we are irresponsibly dumping the waste, and again, we are paying tax for it, is it not? Our government is borrowing to do this. This is the landfill. We killed 2 cities in 30 years, I'm telling. See, here we are in 2020, and within 30 years, we'll be adding 1,000 square kilometers. You know, Hyderabad city is effectively about 500 square kilometers. So 2 cities of equivalent to Hyderabad will be filling with waste in India in 30 years. So this is a vital statistic. We have to think about it and see whether we want to spare some 2% of our individual home or community level land to manage this waste locally, or we will be killing continuously. In other words, in future, on our head, the waste will be dumped. So this is my theme of my talk today. Of course, we also learn what is the treatment methods and all, but treat and zero disposal, that is ideal but sustainable too. Ideal is, I mean to say it is difficult, but we should be attempting to reach zero disposal stage in the design of every individual home, community or colony or layouts. And it is a culture actually. Waste management is a culture, and it is a commitment of engineers and need legal framework to enforce. So we all can work for it. Otherwise, we are seeing the pandemics. Imagine living near that sewage rivers and sewage canals and the landfills near in Hyderabad. Many people should be knowing Jawahar Nagar. which is a landfill area. So acres of land, 20 acres, 30 acres is being filled. Disasters with population growth and urbanization. You see, we all know that already it is about 30 crore population in cities, and it is going to grow to almost 50, 60 crores, double in another 30 years. And imagine the problem that we may face. So the challenges will be collection of this waste, transportation of the waste, treatment, disposal, landfills, contamination, and a huge cost on capital, which I have shared. So this is our awareness as engineers, so this is the C&D waste management project. I got it done by student to protect the environment, to decrease the land use used for landfilling, effective use of materials from C&D waste, and building road, bridges construction. We are seeing how much of waste, demolition waste is generated, removal of existing structures and structures that are built over a range of time period, that is old structure. So these are all the, and the site clearance that we do also comes under construction and demolition waste, and excavation soil, excavated soils. So materials present in C&D, mainly demolition, is concrete, steel, wood, glass, plastic wires, and AC ducts, lifts, and asphalt, roofing, insulation materials, etc. So we should have the strategy of avoiding the waste and minimizing the waste, or recycling the waste, or treating the waste, and finally dispose. That should be the minimum. So soil, sand, and gravel that is generated in Hyderabad is about 4.2 million tons per year. And bricks and masonry is 3.6, and concrete is 2.4 million. And metals, that is steel, windows kind of metals, is 0.6 million. Bitumen is 0.25 million, and wood is 0.25 million tons. And others are 0.1. So this is the breakup of C&D waste that is generated. And different constituents, again, percentage-wise is this. So concrete is a major component, you can see. And brick masonry is a major. So both together will make it 50%. Of course, soil and sand, we can reuse it for the subgrade filling of the roads and all that. So that we'll not talk about it. And 55% can be recycled, reused in various applications. So they have done the study, and they have come up with a proposal of this C&D waste recycling plants. So you can convert into aggregates or mortars and reuse it. And brick manufacturing, embankment filling, road construction, or paver blocks. These are the applications that can be done for C&D. And door frames can be reused actually, and brick concrete can be recycled on site as fill sub-base materials, and paint can be remixed and used in garage or storage areas. And a portion of waste from C&D consists of toxic hazardous waste also. So materials like latex paints, chemical solvents, spackles, not to purchase in excess actually. So reused, recyclable, and replacement of sand and cement as per code, and filling can be done and cheaper to buy. Otherwise, it may lead to disaster and soil erosion, land, ground, water pollutions by asbestos in C&W is quite possible. Providing the recycling plants, awareness program, code approval, and ban landfilling, and encouraging the recycled materials in market. And as this is part of the green norm also actually. So if you have the recycled content, for example, Armstrong, it was a surprise to me, not now, about 15 years back, when I came to know that Armstrong false ceiling material uses the recycled content. And it looks so good, and it's such a great brand. And any material that we buy in construction, we should check the recycled content in that material. And construction waste disposal should be included in the EIA. So they have done the survey with about 20 interns, 3 core members, and they have done in zones like Uppal, LB Nagar, Bachpalli, Medipatnam, Kokatpalli. And they have surveyed about demolition building includes, and type of building and all that. We did the survey. Concrete produced data annually from 14 to 17. And so they have visited 40 contractors And they have visited C&D sites 250, construction sites 40, and demolition sites 250. And RMC plant, they have visited 27 and collected the data on plinth area demolition is about 90,000 square feet, and the average area of construction is 700. And they have worked out on how to balance this construction materials from the demolition material. So it's a very interesting study. These are all the demolitions they have done. So a 3R rule must be followed: recycling and reuse, and encouraging pre-engineered like precast and steel structures will reduce the waste during construction drastically, actually. And next, this is the colony level environment assessment and neutralization. This is again project done by student, and about 97%. This is the water, of course. I have entire world, only 20% of wastewater is being recycled. That in developed countries. In India, about 61,000 MLD of wastewater is generated daily, of which Hyderabad alone has got 1,100 MLD and disposed into the Meesi River, out of which only 750 MLD of water is treated. That means we are disposing 350 MLD of sewage into the rivers, lakes, and all that. So it requires a lot of work by engineers and students possibly to bring in awareness about this. And the next is the solid waste. This is the picture on a very important road. You can see how people dump the waste and how irresponsible we are. So laboratory tests on water samples on various STP they have conducted, and they have found the treatment levels, whether they are within the acceptable limits or not. Next is the function halls. As I said, this is a third internship program they have done, and they have collected the data on the function hall, from the function halls on the solid waste, wet waste, dry waste, wet waste, sea waste, food left, and all this, and surveyed on in such a. Why I'm telling is most of you should encourage students to work in every city in India to work on this local level waste management, which we can be. In fact, by doing this, civil engineers will be branded as responsible citizens, actually. So we should do this, and we get to know quantity of the waste. And this is the proposal, like mobile waste digester sewage and mobile organic waste management system and parking solution. These are the three solutions they have come up with for function halls, whatever they have studied. So we have, as a company, as a consultant, in my opinion, because it's not, let's not think that the job of sewage treatment is somebody else's job of effluent treatment is somebody else's job. As consultant, as civil engineers, we should be knowing about these processes available, about the method of treatments that are possible for every project that we do, and then try to implement this system. In Tamil Nadu, we did the project, as I said, combined effluent treatment plant, and almost every industrial project, we did about 100 projects, and all we did the design of ETPs. And in residential projects, even 50 flats project, we implemented STP and solid waste management. So as we should all do this, this is what I'm trying to say. So before I tell you to do it, I thought I must show what I am doing. And I tell you, recycled water cost from sewage treatment is only 0.6 paise per liter. That means you will get the water almost like 60% of the water that we use is, that is the whatever 150 liters per capita or 200 liters per capita per day, is out of that 60% we use it for flushing and landscaping and for such applications, so you can use the recycled water. And so we reduce that much of disposal into the sewer lines, main sewer lines. And the waste management collection, so now we are into the real topic of management, actually. So we have to plan the collection of the waste, whether it is sewage or solid waste, and transportation of the waste, and then treatment of the waste. So collection, there are various methods like combined collection, like wet and dry waste. And it's always better. In fact, Hyderabad, Greater Hyderabad Corporation is encouraging this segregation at the source level itself. So that is a must actually. Otherwise, we'll be spending huge on transportation and all that. So once you segregate, you can convert your own wet waste into manure actually, organic manure. And so you create a small pit at your home and keep dumping your organic waste, and once in a month you get the manure and use it for your terrace gardening. So you will reduce that much of disposal. And that is the most hazardous. Actually, organic waste generates a lot of mosquitoes and a lot of bacterial infections and all. So it is always better to treat at the house level itself. And next is the transportation. There are different methods of transportation: pressurized transportation of the sewage, vacuum methods. And then treatment, we have pre-treatment, preliminary treatment, primary treatment, secondary, and sludge disposal methods, biosolids. So we'll be having this sewage collection, combined sewers we have, but these are high capital costs, need a reliable supply of piped water, and difficult to construct in high density areas because no space. Recycling of nutrients and energy becomes difficult. Unsuitability for self-help, requires skilled engineers and operators, and problems associated with blockages and breakdowns. So separate sewers are designed to convey wastewater and stormwater in separate pipes. This is always better. In fact, I suggest this. In fact, again, in the water, I covered this. At every house level, you collect your terrace water and store it, so that you don't dispose it into the storm. What we are doing is we are combining this stormwater and sewage, and again treating all that volume. So this is very important you can do retrofit of these colonies and educate the colony people about the advantages of this collection of water at the colony level, treatment of sewage at the colony level, and all that. So sanitary sewer systems may also collect wet weather flow via illicit connections. This is a problem actually, from house drains or storm sewers, as well as through defects in the pipes and manholes. This is a big problem which we have to solve. So there is a huge requirement of audit of these stormwater lines and sewer lines, and we should suggest the methods to restore them to the proper system. And surface runoffs, grey water and black water can be managed separately, and limited or no risk sewage flow. So it should be minimized. Once you plan at the house level, compact STPs are there, like even 1,000 liters capacity sewer STPs are available. So you can buy and install at your home and don't dispose any sewage out. And convenience, when you're designing an individual house, also encourage them to have STP, encourage them to have stormwater collection, and then it will be a very sustainable house. And it will be low health risk and no nuisance from smell, mosquitoes and flies, no problems related to discharging industrial wastewater, and moderate operation cost. So these are the advantages of separate sewers. Pressurized sewers, like we are pumping the waste again, instead of gravity to transport wastewater. This is another waste actually. Waste disposal itself is an unnecessary cost. We can minimize it, but again, you pump it, you spend energy for it. So it's very negative actually. The system can be built with only shallow trenches and relatively small diameter pipes. It is an effective solution where conventional systems are impractical, such as hilly areas and raising slopes. But we have to plan always gravity sewers. That is always better. And pressurized sewers, effective wastewater transportation, it needs an expert design, permanent energy source for pumps and sludge pumps. And it's a high capital cost and requires skilled engineering operations also. And vacuum sewers, this is much more actually, convey sewage from individual household to central collection system. And this is a very costly affair again. Expert design, very high capital cost actually. We should not even think of in Indian conditions. So, and treatment, sewage treatment, we have effluent treatment and solid waste and hazardous. So this is the sewage treatment. We have anaerobic systems and aerobic systems, activated sludge process. This we all studied actually. I don't want to spend much time in explaining, but we should know what is the moving bed biofilm reactor, MBBR technology, and sequential batch reactor, and fluidized aerobic bioreactors. So less equalization, least chambers. This is the advantage of MBBR technology. Activated sludge is a conventional technology, like we need to use ponds, and we have to have the oxidation ponds and all that. And then fluidized aerobic reactor, you can go up to 200 KLD. Smaller capacities, you can use this, and rotating biological reactors, you can, this is very small units, you can do FRP with the FRP containers and very least number of channels. And in anaerobic, you have the biodigesters, no pump rooms, least power, pump treated water, and only pump the treated water, and this is DRDO patented. We should use this at the individual community levels actually. Biosanitizers, they are bacterial based actually. So these are again very advanced systems. So this is the biotechnology. You can develop the bacteria that can neutralize your waste actually. So these are all possible things, and we are building 700 MLD capacity sewage treatment plants and all in the city. So we have the bar screen chamber, oil grease trap. So we should know the components of this: equalization tank, activated sludge processor, aeration tank, and then go to the sludge holding tank, remove the sludge, and take it to the sludge holding tank. And we have the settling tank, filtered water tank, and treated water tank. So finally, so this is the process block diagram. So nature of waste, suppose general quality of sewage inlet characters. So we have 300, that means 3 lakh liters per day, for example. And pH value is 7.5 to 8.5. Input, we should always collect the data on input waste characters actually. So because our design basis depends on the input characters of the sewage, and then we target the output characters and design the sewage treatment. And BOD 5 is 300 to 400, and COD is 600 to 800, and total suspended solids is 200 to 450. Oil grease is up to 10. And targeted quality of treated water is 6.5 to 7.5, and BOD should be less than 10, COD should be less than 100, and suspended solids less than 50, oil and grease less than 5, and reuse is the parameter actually. We should be able to reuse the treated water. So for this, you can have a bar screen chamber, equalization tank, pump room, aeration tank, clarifier, and clarified water tank, and pressurized pressure filters. You can have pressure filters or sand filters. Olden conventional was sand filters. Now we are using the pressurized filters and chlorinators. So this is the thing. Final tank, sludge holding tank, piping and cabling and units design. So important wastewater contaminants are suspended solids and biodegradable organic waste and pathogens, and then nutrients and refractory organics. So biochemical oxygen demand and chemical oxygen demand, and total suspended solids and pH. So BOD is an important measure of water. It is a measure of amount of oxygen needed by bacteria and other organisms. So that's why we see the oxidation ponds. And COD, organic carbon, with exception of some benzene and all this, which are not completely oxidized in the reaction. So COD is a chemical oxidation reaction, and ammonia we cannot oxidize. So that's why you should eliminate detergents in the, so in a good design, you should not allow detergents to be used in the bathrooms, You should not allow detergent to be mixed in the sewage. Otherwise, the treatment will be very difficult and you cannot get quality of the water. So what should be done is you should encourage the community washing separate and then treat that water or dispose that water separately. And so that the other sewage, it can be treated. In abroad or developed countries, even 20 years back, I have seen it is a compulsion actually. Nobody can dispose detergent water into the normal sewage. So this is a very important point every engineer should note and try to implement in the projects. So standards of treated sewage, raw sewage and treated sewage. After secondary treatment, after tertiary treatment. And oil, grease, after secondary, it can be, so public sewers level is so much, 5.5 to 9. And oil and grease is 20. And ammonial nitrogen is 50. And biochemical oxygen BOD is 350. Suspended solids is 600. And after tertiary, it will be brought to 8. And these are the parameters. So pumping of sewage, primary treatment, secondary treatment, this is the flow diagram of a treatment plant. You have the raw sewage and you have the coarse screening, and then raw sewage pumping and inlet chamber, fine screening and grit removal here. And then we have the aeration tanks, and then we have the secondary clarifiers and the disinfection, one thing, and then take it to the secondary treatment and sludge dewatering and make the dry sludge cakes. So this is the total treatment of a typical flow diagram. And we have in pumping station, we have the receiving chamber, coarse screening, wet well, and then pump house and raw sewage pumps. And fine screening. So these are the primary treatment. You have this fine screening, grit removal, and primary clarification. And in screening, you have removal of coarse solids, and type of screens are fine, medium, and coarse, and cleaning of screens, manual or mechanical, and we can have the benefits of protection of pumps by screening, and then coarse screening is 20 mm clear spacing in bars, and fine screening is 6 mm. So these are all the grit removal. And biological treatment in the secondary stage, we have the sewage treatment, aerobic and anaerobic. And in aerobic, we have MBBR, SBR systems, and anaerobic sewage treatment, absence of no aerator blowers are required, and foul smell during the treatment in anaerobic. So these are all the activated sludge process, very conventional method. And advantages are seasonal variations can be sustained. And the high energy consumption and then foaming will be there, and then requires elaborate sludge digestion and more land required than SBR and MEBR. So these are the things, and nitrogen and phosphorus removed requires additional toxic anoxic tanks and 3 times internal recirculation. So this is the aeration and sedimentation. Process is simple, but it's not, it requires huge area for aeration, tanks, large aeration tank. So this is the process for ASP, and these are the drawings for activated sludge process, and large tanks will be required. And this is like conventional, our septic tanks only, almost like. And these are the photographs of compact units, and these are the side photographs of these compact units. So MBBR, we have this based on the biofilm organized, developed in carrier elements. The media is floating in the aeration tank and kept floating by air filters. So this is the flow diagram. So we have the raw sewage screening and grit removal, which is common. And then we have the aeration tanks where you have the carrier media, which will be digesting, and then you have the secondary carrier, and then disinfection and treated water sent out, and sludge dewatering and sludge cakes are taken out. So this is the drawing of the proposed one of the project we did, MBBR technology. And this is the maintenance and operating area. This is all what we do. We think civil engineers have to do only this structure. So we have to do engineering of the waste also, actually. We can do wonders. If we apply our mind, if we apply our knowledge, definitely we can do wonders. So let us involve, don't leave it to the vendors, because vendors try to sell their technology. So we should know the advantages and optimization of various technologies for our given project, actually. It is not a common characteristic of all the waste in every project that we do. For an office building, it is different. For residential building, it is different. Commercial, it is different. So we have to consider that's why we have to prepare the design basis report for each of the characters, and for the targeted one, what is the required technology only we should spend. So this is from another vendor, the technology of MBBR. This is the drawing for the process for the given capacity and characteristics. These are the photographs of different implemented project. We should try to make this very clean and environmentally friendly, actually. So this is most neglected areas, but we should keep them proper. And a sequential batch reactor, this is a SBR technology, and degraded sewage is fed into the SBR basins for biological treatment to remove BOD and COD suspended solids. So this is the SBR technology. So we use this technology also, and so this is the SBR process. Fill and start aeration, and then stop aeration here, and then start setting, and then start decanting, and then stop decanting and send it to the recycling. So fully automatic, it can be possible in SBR, and cyclic activated sludge process until you achieve the targeted thing. And it can be compact because you don't have to spread the whole thing. So multi-grade filters, we have the activated carbon filters, chlorination, and reuse. Next is the aerobic bioreactors, fluidized aerobic bioreactors, FAB technology. So we should know about this and compare whenever we suggest any technology, first is its capacity, space, value engineering we have to do. What is its capacity and what is the space required? What is the cost? What is the operating cost? So we have to evaluate the overall cost and visit some of the installed capacity, installed plants of the vendor, and then assess the vendor, and then only suggest the proposed treatment, actually. So process description is pre-treatment. We have the biological treatment. We have the tertiary treatment. And pre-treatment is we remove the raw sewage is passed through coarse screen chambers and floating matters to be removed, and then only send it for biological treatment, and then tertiary treatment finally. And advantages of this, sorry, we missed something. Yeah, these are the salient features of FAB technology. Small space requirement for FAB, actually. And that means compact units, but it has a limitation of 200 KLD. That means small communities you can use this, not for large city level treatment plants and all. So this is the FAB technology, and we have this rotation biological contractor, and then it is an inbuilt complete single packaged unit. This is for house level, small units, and noise is very less and no stinking. And because it's a compact unit, and entire package unit can be transported. As I said, it can be used for up to 500 liters capacity or 1000 liters per capacity also. And you can move it, and the system can be easily upgraded from one capacity to another by adding compact units, and then low operation and maintenance cost. And it can be in FRP tanks, as I said. and ready-made capacity modules, 5 KLD, as I said, 5,000 liters to 1,000 liters, as low as 1,000 liters, 1,000 KLD. Sorry, 1,000 KLD is 1 million liters, 1 MLD. So a small 5,000 liters also we can use it actually for this RBC technology. So this is the latest small units that are available in the market, and it will have a secondary clarifier, and this is the small multiplex also. We have designed this small unit, RBC unit, in a multiplex theater. You can see the size is 2.5 meter by 1.7 meter and 5.5 meter. That's it. And this is the photograph of installed RBC actually. Very clean and simple. So these are the photographs of RBC. So we should encourage these small units in small communities actually. And this is a biodigester in anaerobic type sewage treatment plant. And then, so this is the anaerobic type. This is DRDO technology. This is being used for the toilets in Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Toilet level, this is being used. And biodigesters are very local and at every level, and no power is required and no maintenance almost. So no machinery and power for aeration is not required, and chemicals not required, biocatalyst not required. Initially first time required because you have to initiate it, and the only thing is it has to be continuous, these biodigesters. You cannot stop and again restart after 2 days. So you should plan such that it will not be stopped. Once it is stopped, again you have to feed the, like after antibiotics we take the this powder, you know. So treated water, you can use it for plantation and recycling, and these are the photographs of the biodigester systems. Next is the effluent treatment plant. There is a huge work, many slides to be covered. And so the effluent, we all know industrial wastewater. So depending on the process of the industrial wastewater, so we have to collect the characteristics of the raw effluent, and we have to plan the treatment and distribution chambers, flash mixers and thickeners and sludge tank and filter press. So these are all the processes. I'll run a bit fast. So we have the pre-treatment and fat and grease removal, primary treatment, you have secondary treatment and tertiary treatment, activated sludge. And we have the treatment methods, physical unit operations and screening and flow equalization, sedimentation and aeration, pH control, chemical coagulation. Because pH control is very important in effluent, because either they'll be very highly acidic or basic also. So coarse bar screens, and you have the equalization basins, raw effluent pumping stations, and components of ETP is primary sludge sumps and primary sludge pumping station, and secondary settling tanks, secondary sludge pumps, and raw effluent pumping. And so there will be so many steps. We have to study these technologies for various processes, and we have to estimate the civil cost, we have to estimate the process cost, and some vendors' process cost may be, process capital equipment may be lower cost, but the civil cost will be higher. So we have to take the data, we have to work out the overall cost of the installation, and then only recommend a particular vendor. So these are all the photographs of the compact effluent treatment plant. And so these are the sludge drying beds and photographs of the treatment plant. And next is the solid waste management. Non-liquid, non-soluble materials ranging from municipal garbage to industrial waste. And there are rubbish and dead animals also. It's a very tough job actually handling the garbage management. So in solid waste management, the first and foremost thing is the segregation at the source. Dry waste into 4 categories and wet waste separately. So we have the municipal solid waste, hazardous waste, industrial waste, agricultural waste, biomedical waste minimization. And municipal solid waste, you have the household waste, you have the construction and demolition waste. No. Sewage is different, effluent is different. Effluent will be more chemical actually. So it cannot combine these two. Process is different. And CND waste and sanitation residues and waste from streets. This is so you will have the biomass also in the street waste. So we have, if you classify the municipal solid waste, you have the paper and paperboard very large, which can be recycled actually. And yard waste, like lawns and soil and all that. And you have the metals 7.7%, plastics 9.4%, and food waste, which is wet waste, which can be digested, is 10.4%. So based on this, you can plan glass and wood, which can be recycled, and others are 10%. So this is the only plastics also people are sending to landfill, but plastics you can use it, reuse it actually. Now there are different technologies coming up for recycling the plastic. So you can minimize the disposal to hardly 10% to 20% only. The rest all can be recycled or digested. So municipal solid waste can be reduced drastically by understanding the character of the waste. And hazardous waste, yes, they have to be collected separately. Like there are vendors who will collect this hazardous waste mostly from the hospitals and industrial units. And the hazardous waste has to be treated separately. Infectious or corrosive waste, ignitable waste and reactive waste. And chemical manufacturing, so they come under red category. Sorry. So there are very dangerous effects of this hazardous waste. You can go for a DRDO system, biodegradable, and I said the 5,000 liters per day capacity, FRP. Or FRP, yeah. These industrial waste contain toxic waste actually. So sugar, food processing, metallurgical, fertilizer plants and all. So there will be skin diseases, there will be genetic defects. We know the effects of fluorides and all that, and cancer can be also there. So we have to recommend the treatment at the source itself, whether it is solid waste or effluent. And agricultural waste, they can be almost digested actually if you treat properly. And livestock also, it is very dangerous. And waste to energy, gasification and pyrolysis. These are the methods. And please never think of thermal plants with this waste actually. That is more hazardous actually. And biogas production, animal waste, food processing waste and other organic matters can be decomposed to produce gas. That is biogas. Biomedical waste that is generated during diagnosis, treatment or immunization of human beings. Hospital waste is hazardous. And biomedical waste cannot be mixed with other waste, so that has to be collected separately. You should find the hospitals and see whether they are disposing their waste separately. No untreated biomedical waste shall be kept stored beyond a period of 48 hours. So this is very important, you should be knowing. And waste minimization, minimized by adopting the reduction, reuse and recycling methods. So that is the only way. And residential, mainly single and multi-family dwelling units, we have the food waste, paper, cardboard, plastic. So we should encourage that the old system of recycling, people who buy the used containers and all. And the industrial waste, light and heavy manufacturing, housekeeping of waste and packaging of food waste, construction and demolition materials and hazardous waste and all. So construction and demolition waste, as I explained, you will have wood, steel, concrete and dirt, and concrete and dirt can be recycled. I mean masonry waste, which is almost contributes 60% of the C&D waste. 30% is from excavation, which can again be reused, excavated soil. And municipal services, street sweeping, landscaping, and all that. And the process is another industrial waste, and scrap materials and off-specification products. So there is a huge scope for managing the waste. So we should all work on these ideas to minimize and treat locally. And micro-level management of the waste is much better than creating huge landfills and huge treatment plants of the sewage or effluent at the district level and city level. So we should discourage that. Incineration plants are used for this, and this is the landfill. And we make huge landfills and do a lot of research on these landfills, how to manage these landfills. It is very difficult. It was a very traditional method, and we should not encourage these landfill methods. So disadvantages, huge actually landfill collapse we have seen in Delhi recently. Some people died also, in fact, because of the landfill collapses. Maintaining the landfill is a big thing. Thermal process of the and incineration is adopted for biomedical hazardous waste actually. And expensive and use a lot of energy. And compaction of the landfills and pyrolysis of the waste and generation of the gases and power generation. So finally, the reduce, reuse, recycle has to be followed in the waste management. So buy products in bulk, larger economy size products, and avoid over-packaged goods, especially ones packed with several materials such as foil, paper, and plastic. Avoid disposable goods such as paper plates, cups, napkins, razors. Avoid disposable. Please underline this. Don't use disposable because that will generate more solid waste. And buy durable goods at work. Make two-sided copies. In fact, don't use the plastic PET bottles for water and use electronic mail. In fact, even 2-3 years back, when I attended a function in London, a banquet in London, they were supplying water with glass bottles only. Glass bottle, it used to be glass bottle. Milk also we used to get in glass bottle. Now we get in polythene packets, which is very hazardous. At least you should have the recycling of these things. And reuse products from the same purpose. And save paper and plastic bags. We have to reuse the products different ways. To pack a lunch, use all this, we should reuse. Use reusable containers rather than plastic wraps, and use a ceramic coffee mug instead of paper cups, and reuse grocery bags or bring your own cloth bags. Buy products from recycled material, check collection centers, and recycle the things. So economy, social and environment, and intergenerational equity. These are, and agriculture, fisheries, household, and municipal solid waste, and hospital waste, biomedical waste. And so same, use the reuse and recycle technologies. Wet garbage and dry garbage, that is a very important thing. Garbage bins and chutes, you have to design the garbage chutes in the residential apartments and offices. So these are all the details of those chutes that are designed. So this is about waste management today. And somebody, Suraj Shinde, is asking about wastewater treatment. Yeah, there is a huge demand as we move forward irresponsibly for wastewater treatment career actually and management. After engineering, you do either you can do specialization in post-graduation in environment, or you can work in directly the companies like Ramki and Virod. There are more are going to come. As I said, the treatment of the waste at present in India, the level of treatment is only 30%. So there is huge scope, and people can work on it, and there are many opportunities in both all solid waste, sea waste treatment, and effluent treatment. Any other questions? So thank you very much. And if there are no questions, I conclude for the day, and we'll meet tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye.